Question for Jordan.
Jordan, what's going on? What's good? Brandon Scoopy Robinson, Valley Sports. I remember first two games were definitely more of a chess match between both teams. Um, you hitting that three half court definitely set you guys up, but I feel like last game was more of an energy booster for Boston. How do you get a home feel for your team in Boston?
What you mean by the last part?
Guys have to just excel. Like I know a lot of teams feed off crowds. In this instance, guys are chanting things for you. How do you get a feel of just playing in your home court while still being in Boston?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge you get with being on the road. Um, you know, embrace it more than anything, and it's an amazing experience to be a part of. But when we're at home, we feel that same energy as it should be when you're on the road, and just finding ways to play through that, find ways to just be connected and get wins.
On the right side, Dan Devine. Jordan Dan Devine from The Ringer. Yes, when you were coming off the screens last night, obviously the bigs are at sort of different depths. Sometimes they're up a little bit, sometimes they're further back. Um, does that give you any kind of pause or hesitation when you see that? Like, or are you like reading an automatic? If they're back, I'm firing. If they're up, I got to try to drive. Is it kind of difficulty to find a rhythm as they shift those coverages?
In terms of the drop coverage, no, not really. It's just a matter of when they're getting into it and um, the type of shot you're trying to get. Like the drop is open, especially being a 3-point shooter and the high ball screens that we're setting. But I'm also trying to get your guys involved and trying to get everybody else touches. Just because earlier on in the shot clock is when we're getting to them. So just finding ways to pick and choose when to shoot them, and also what looks to take.
Third row in the middle.
Hey Jordan, Dalton Johnson, NBC Sports Bay Area. Two quick questions. I think your first shot was from the mid-range yesterday. Do you think that's a part of the game that can kind of get you going a little more offensively?
Yeah, kind of relating back to this last question, just being able to take what the defense gives us. Some bigs are deeper than others, and some are a little bit higher, but being able just to be aggressive and get to the midi as well is something that definitely can help.
And then with that kind of with the aggressiveness, what's been kind of the balance of finding the right form of aggressiveness? And for you, is it more looking at film or talking to some of the veterans like Andre, Steph, Clay about where to find those right holes with the aggressiveness?
Yeah, everything. Also being out there and going through it, seeing drops, seeing different coverages, seeing doubles or blitz. So watching film has always been a part of the work that I put in, and asking questions is also a big determining factor. So I guess all of it.
First row on the left.
Here on the left with Jason for Steph.
What's going on, Steph? How did the foot feel when you woke up, and how confident are you that you can go on Friday without being limited?
I'm gonna play. That's all I know right now.
Kendra in the middle.
What have the past 12 hours been like for you, just in terms of recovery treatment for your foot?
About 10.5 hours of sleep, a couple of dunks in the ice bucket, and that's about it for now. And then take advantage of the day and tomorrow to get completely ready for the game. Get as much recovery and healing as possible, and understand how important Game 4 is, and excited about the opportunity.
Joe.
Hey, Steph, did you get any imaging? And I know you just got over a left foot sprain. Is this a re-aggravation of that of any kind?
Because I went through what I went through at the end of the regular season and coming back, I know exactly what it is, what I got to deal with, and soreness / pain level and all that. So once I got checked out last night, I knew I wouldn't have to go get any extra tests just because we've been through this before. And there's a good understanding of what it is, same foot and all that. So there's, I guess, comfort knowing I've been through it before, but also you'd rather not have to deal with something like that at this point in the season.
Robert on the left.
By Manic CLNS Media. Steph,
How surprising is it to see some drop coverage out there against you? I don't know how often you see that, given the shooter you are, and how do you try to respond to some of that coverage? Are you just trying to shoot over it again and again? And did they adjust that all in the fourth?
You understand personnel like they have a certain lineup with their length and size that you're not gonna really see many blitzes just because I don't think it's physically possible to run around as much as I do and how many screens we can throw at them. So they're doing a pretty solid job for most of the game, trying to take away the three, keeping bodies on bodies and stuff like that. In the fourth quarter, we started the fourth quarter, first couple possessions with turnovers, and we kind of got sped up a little bit. And then they were pretty smart in terms of who they were trying to come off of and clog, driving lanes and send extra bodies and attention that honestly those patterns really don't make sense, but they were just super aggressive across the board. So we got something for that, and obviously if you take care of the ball and settle in, it can set a totally different tone for the fourth quarter. And then obviously offense and defense are connected. You have to get stops in order to maintain momentum down the stretch. And in game one and game three, we didn't do that, and it showed in terms of only getting 16 points or something like that in the fourth quarter. So we obviously know we got to be better.
Anthony on the right.
The first time you sprained the foot, you tried to run, went right back to the locker room, couldn't really play on it. This time you did play a few possessions. How did it feel in those few possessions, and then did that also lead you to believe that it's less serious?
Oh, for sure. Like I said, it's almost the identical type play. This one just wasn't as bad as that one. And as soon as you start to take a couple steps, you kind of know whether you can run normal, cut normal, or not. Back then I couldn't. Yesterday I could, so it gave me a little bit of confidence knowing it wasn't as bad, but see how it feels tomorrow. I know I'm going to play, but just see how it responds to that type of impact.
Question in the middle.
Nicole Cepena from Dominican Republic. You are one of the most feared players in the game. What is the key for your consistency?
Just confidence in what I can do and what how we play as a team, and the fact that we've been here plenty of times before, and that experience comes with a sense of composure and understanding of how I can be effective. So every night you try to hold yourself to that standard, and hopefully that leads to wins.
Candace in the back.
Hey Steph, just for context, even though it's a injury to a lesser degree than the previous one, if this was a regular season, would you envision yourself sitting out this next game?
It's a tough one to answer. I don't know. Depending on where we were in the season, context is everything. So I don't know how to answer that.
Put a Ohm up front here.
Steph Ohm Young's ESPN. If Draymond after the game the other night said he played like expletive and then said he was soft, knowing him, how do you think he'll respond tomorrow night, especially after how the crowd was really on him?
I mean, the same way he kind of did in game two with the same emotion, but just focus on impacting the game on both ends of the floor. We've been in hostile environments before. We understand what the emotions are like. I think even for you asked about Draymond, but even for me, like the first quarter, my first foul threw me off a little bit in terms of like the tone of the game, and I get the second one, and he's aware of that, I'm aware of that. We're all trying to figure out how aggressive physically you can be, and then you just get distracted, and everything else becomes amplified. And the fact that we clawed our way back in the third quarter, him was a part of that defensively for sure. All that you have to kind of bottle up and know if we could just execute our game plan, be the most physical team, come with multiple efforts on defense, be decisive on offense, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel at all. It's just play better across the board. We all need to do that, and I know Draymond will help lead that charge tomorrow, just like he did in Game 2, and get back in the series.
Got time for a few more for Steph. Maddie over here.
Steph, kind of a two-parter question. First off, like, what would you say your level of pain is right now?
I don't know how to answer that one either, because I'm just comparing it to what it was before. And I'm good enough to play. So.
And off of that, you said that the few possessions that you played after the injury kind of made you realize it wasn't as bad as the first one. But is there any concern about how this might affect your mobility?
No, look, even with the last one, when I first came back and started testing it out and getting ready to play, it never got worse based on ramping up your intensity and all that. It's just the pain tolerance thing that you got to deal with. So, obviously, at this point in the season, if you're good enough, or in the series, if you're good enough to play.
Kareth in the middle.
Steph, what is it like to be under the injury microscope? And then do you wonder in your career, do you have the most scrutinized ankles, feet, legs in the NBA?
I thought I was well past that for sure. But it's just something that's part of what we do. And, I guess the only thing is you're quick to be able to self-assess, really, based on whatever the injury felt like. Like, I think to Anthony's question, when I did it in the regular season, I knew it right away, like something was severely wrong. Last night I knew I was hurt, but it was not as bad, and I could kind of, gauge whether I should stay out there or not do any more damage. And then that's why I'm very confident I'm gonna play tomorrow and keep it moving. So you become your own doctor to a certain extent based on all the different episodes that you've had. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it is what it is.
Last question to Marcus.
Marcus Thompson, The Athletic. Steph, you've been driving a lot.
Hold on, my phone's going. Repeat what you said. Yes.
That caught me off guard. Good job.